All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Coffee and Cigars live stream. This is episode number 218. Can you believe it? 218. How y'all doing? Welcome back to the show, to our Thursday night hang. And if you're just joining us, we do this every week on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sit down, have a coffee, and talk cigars and whatever else comes up. So how y'all doing? Welcome back to the show. I hope everyone's doing well this past week. We're back here in the garage because it's getting more and more comfortable every week. It gets more comfortable. I finally finished my desk here, or my workbench. It's pretty much done. I got all the dog holes in on it. Got it painted. Put the tracks in. So everything is looking nice. Devin's with us. What's going on, Devin? How are things down in Florida? Good to see you, man. Hope everything is well. So actually, what happened is I got this. I had this idea that I got from a guy named called Hooked on Wood. This guy Dennis, who's in the Netherlands, and he did this workbench, or it was a workbench that I really liked. That he incorporated a router lift. So I kind of configured this to do that because I wanted to get this fence system that he had. What's going on, Brian? How are you, man? Good to see you. How's everything up in New York? And I was like, okay, this is. So I calculated it all out. I put it all in, and it's this particular fence is kind of really nice. And I figured it would take me a while to get it because it's a little bit pricey. And I was looking. I've been trolling Facebook Marketplace lately because I've been like looking. I've been obsessing about some stuff, and I came across this guy that was selling the fence, the exact fence that I've been looking for, or I was thinking about buying, or was planning for. But he's also selling all the accessories, a whole table of router, and all these bits. And I was like, what? And for a really good price, I guess I'll show it to you now that I've been talking about it. It is over here. Let me just make my way. It's still a messy place. So it's not like totally. Oh, here it is. It's hard to, it doesn't look like much. This is what's called the Incra Wonder Fence. And it has this thing called the LS positioner. And this allows you to slide it back and forth to set the fence. And then once you have it in place, you can use this knob to adjust very minutely the fence distance, right? And then this router, this big Freud 2200, is actually mounted on a plate, the phenolic plate that sits, upside down in there. And it came with all this accessories, and I was like, holy smokes, and this table. And I was like, wow, that is just insane. So I was able to get the fence that I wanted for a very, very good deal. And now I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. All right. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to be smoking a cigar from Perdomo Cigars, the 10th anniversary, something I picked up when I was in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago. But before that, we're going to get into some coffee. I got some coffee from a place in Matagalpa, Nicaragua, called the Matagalpa Community Coffee. This is a coffee group that is, what do you call it? They're a co-op, and they grow coffee together. And the coffee is imported by Gold Mountain Coffee Importers, based in Washington D.C. And my friend Matt, who owns Park and Perk, he bought their coffee, he roasted it, and he was like, "Hey man, try some of this." And I was like, "All right, let me try some of that." And since today's cigar is from Nicaragua, big surprise, I thought we'd have Nicaraguan coffee with it. So here is our coffee. I've got it in a French press. This is the IKEA French press. And why the IKEA French press? I'm really bad at taking off the labels. The IKEA French press, because this is extremely affordable, right? You don't have to spend a lot of money on coffee apparatus to have nice quality coffee, but it's very simple. It's got plastic base, it's got just a glass here, a little ring here with a plastic handle, plastic top, really kind of thin metal mesh stuff. So it's got everything you need, but it's also very cheap. I think it's less than 20 bucks. 20 bucks, I think it is when I bought it. And then we've got the coffee here. So you can see here, this is the Matagalpa Community Coffee. It's a nice coffee. It's got some sweet, floral fruity, light fruity, like tropical fruitiness to it. Pretty good, but we need to get some water ready. So I need to get the coffee kit going. Gotta put our. I'm still trying to decide on a coffee kit, right? So I've got this box, this what they call the sustainer, right? So I've got this. This is the one I'm designated for. This is a what they call an M187, so 187 millimeters in height, and it has it has a decent amount of space. And I've got a bunch of stuff in here, all from last week. Here's our, and we're gonna get just some of our stuff out here. I just tossed it all in here after last week's show, and I didn't really do anything about it. Where's the lid? Oh, there's the lid. Okay. So we'll put that over here. Oops. But I've been thinking about what kind of kit should I build for this, EDC kind of coffee. What's going on, Brian? Whoops. Oh, no. There we go. What's up, Brian, man? How are you doing? What's going on out there in the world? So we're going to brew some coffee just like we did last time. And since we're going to brew on the fly, we're going to do it here. Rusty's with us. What's going on, Rusty, man? How are you? Rusty, we're smoking one of the cigars that I picked up while we were in Pennsylvania during your attempt at the chili cook-off. And, I've got one of, while I was in Pennsylvania, Rusty didn't bring any containers, little like quart containers, whatever. So I had the other one of these. I have two of these. I had the other one. So I put the chili in that. It still kind of tastes like chili today. It's a little bit distressing. So Mom's here with us, man. Look at Mom's with us. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So we're going to get some water. I don't know if that's enough. Maybe that's not enough. I don't know. And then we get our fire. Again, this is the Pocket Rocket from MSR. It's a portable stove. The new one, like I said before, has I've been told that the new version actually has a piezoelectric ignition on it, where this one you have to use a separate ignition. Tony's here too, man. What's going on, Tony? How are you doing, man? What's going on? Where is it? Where are you guys all tonight? Where's everybody hanging out? Okay, put that there. We're going to need to get some fire going on. I'm going to use this torch that is just dangerous. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to put this water there. Lid on. Put that right there. Boom. Right there, right there. Rusty says some people use Efferdent to clean Stanley tumblers. I wonder if it works on a plastic Nalgene. That's a good question. When it comes to cleaning a lot of those kind of things, I just use unscented OxyClean. And I find that the unscented OxyClean tends to pretty much clean just about everything. But you don't want to use OxyClean, though, on aluminum. I found out that out the hard way. I had one of those Japanese hand-hammered aluminum, what do they call? There's not for making donburi, but that kind of thing, right? And it had a lot of oil buildup on the sides. I thought, let me just use this. I really should have used the the bartender's friend, but I thought I'd do my OxyClean thing, and well, that was a disaster. Yeah, Craig says OxyClean for the win, man. I tell you, it's a wonderful product. How are things up in Calgary there, Craig? And Steven with us early tonight. What's going on, man? Good to see you. How are things out in Phoenix? Okay, so we got our brewer here, IKEA. We got our coffee. We're just going to put that in here. I'm using 24 grams of coffee. We're just going to wait for the water to heat up and boil, and then we're just going to pour it in. We're not going to do too much. I did weigh this, but we're not going to do too much rigmarole, right? We're just going to brew the coffee, be it really simple, because you know what? Here's the truth that people in coffee don't want you to know is that it's very simple to make nice quality coffee. You don't have to do a lot of hocus pocus and rigmarole to get nice quality coffee. You just gotta do some basics, and it's very simple. It's very simple. I mean, people have been drinking nice coffee for generations, for hundreds of years. And now we want to make it like all this measuring and weighing and scales, and we don't need that. Maybe we just need enough. I like to use a scale just to measure the coffee itself. And then once the coffee's measured, then I can pretty much guess the amount of water that I'm going to use. I need to pull this sticker off because it's really starting to bother me. I'm going to do that while we wait. So how's everyone's week been? Anything interesting happening? And what are you guys smoking tonight? You already know what I'm going to be smoking. This Perdomo 10th anniversary Maduro. There's evidently 3 types of 10th anniversary Perdomos. There is the Maduro, which is evidently all are box pressed. There is sun grown, and there's a champagne series. I don't really know the difference. And I think these cigars, the 10th anniversary, came out quite a few years ago. I think it came out in 2020, I think it was. I'm not really sure. Tony probably knows when it really came out. Tony knows a lot more about Perdomo than I do. But Perdomo's an interesting company. I think that it's an interesting cigar line because I don't know why I'm just turning up the gas really high because I don't know why, but every time I use this stove, I always hold back on the gas, like I'm afraid of it or something. And it's usually about like halfway through, I start to realize, wait a minute, what am I waiting for? Let me just gas it up. Craig says, I'm just on my way out to go to the new house. Okay, man, we'll see you soon in a little bit. Or if you have the time, come join us. We're always good to see you. Safe journey on your way to the new house. All these people with their houses, they just like go from house to house. Everybody seems to have 2 houses lately. We are still waiting for this to roll. I know what I need to grab. I think we're getting, the spout is over here. No, not yet, not yet. It's taking a little while. Tony says it's the rebranded La Tradicion, which came out early 2000. Are you saying that the Perdomo, get rid of that hat. Are you saying that the Perdomo 10th anniversary is a rebranded La Tradicion? Is that what you're saying? Am I understanding that correctly? I'm also pulling the heater closer to me because I'm feeling a little bit like stuffy now. All right, looks like we're getting closer to the water. Okay, yes, it is. Oh, okay. As you can see, we're getting I think we're getting the boiling action. Oh yeah, we got at least we didn't have the same disaster we had last week. Okay, turn off the heat. Now we're going to pour. And you don't have to use, we're just going to pour it in I'm just going to slosh it around. Now, I've got a little bit in here. I'm going to just slosh it just to make sure that we wet all the grounds so that all extraction has begun. Just like that. Nothing. It doesn't have to be more than this. And then now we're going to add the rest of the water. Right, there's our water. I'm going to add it all because I think I have just enough. There we go. Now we're going to put the cap on. So one thing with these caps, always separate the cap from the mesh just so that they don't get caught, because sometimes they get caught up. And I like to put it in this way so that we make sure that we get it in. And then I like to just push it down just a little bit just to make sure that all the grounds are submerged. And then now we're going to wait. We're going to wait almost 4 minutes. So we started at 15 minutes. We're going to start. We got 3 more minutes to go. We've got our mug here. And ready. We're getting ready. We're going to get into the cigar time. So anything interesting happening this week? We've been doing a lot of work with oak slabs. We've been processing some slabs because I needed a couple for this project I'm doing, and then Matt's making a table for his house, dining table. So we've got these inch and 5/8 slabs now. After planing them, we're planing the hell out of them today. So interesting. All right. Devin says I didn't WT my French. I know. I'm not hardcore enough. You know, it makes me. I guess it makes the hardcore coffee people. How could they respect what I do? How could they? I'm just not doing the proper techniques. I've been using this pencil, but I think that I want it to be finer. This is the Pica Fine Dry pencil. It has a 0.9 millimeter lead, but the thing is, for the fine writing, I'm not really liking it. I think I'm going to go back to this tomato that I was using last week. And the tomato's nicer because it has, at least for writing, because it has the 0.5 millimeter lead. So I can get a little bit more detail. We start at 1500, 1800. So another 45 seconds, and we'll be ready to go with our coffee. Exciting. It's exciting. Coffee's exciting. Now my mug, this thermal mug, is a little bit cold, so it's going to nosedive the temperature a bit. But that's all right. That's all right. I guess it'll be all right. Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold. My hands are not clean. Man. Yesterday we were processing these slabs. Yesterday we cut them down to size to about 12 and a half inches so it would fit through the planer today. So today we planed them all. And yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good. All right, here we go. Now it's time. We're going to first press down, just even pressure. And that's it. That's it. That's really it. Now you just got to pour. You just pour it in. And oh, just enough. Look at that. Matagalpa Community Coffee. Brewed fresh. It is hot. It is hot, even though the cup was cold. Oh, still hot. Still hot. Oh, I'm gonna have to wait for that. I'm gonna wait for that for a few minutes. All right, let's go to our cigar. This is the Perdomo 10th anniversary. What is this? This is Epicure. Epicure Maduro. Epicure. I picked this up at Widmer's Tobacco in Holmes, Pennsylvania, just a little bit south of Philadelphia, about a couple weeks ago. $9.75, so fairly reasonably priced, right? It says on the website for Perdomo that this is a box press, but if it's box press, it feels very like a very light box press. Not like the Revenge, not like a lot of other box press cigars like the Padrones. So let's open it up and see what we get. My God, this doesn't want to tear. The cello has separated. Okay, there it is. 10th anniversary Maduro Reserve. Nice looking wrapper, right? Look at that. I think that if we were to look at it here under a color chart, I'm going to put on the darker side. Now, I don't know, last week I talked about doing the 20th anniversary my father, but I was thinking today, I felt it's colder. I had the sniffles this morning. I didn't have sniffles most of the day, and now that we're back in the moment, I'm having a little bit again, so I'm like, I didn't want to do that cigar and be a bit compromised or potentially compromised. Mainly because I tend to be a little more critical of my father's cigars, so I want to give it every opportunity. Okay, so, ooh, there's a nice, maybe very light barnyard, but a very strong sweetness that's coming from the wrapper. Now, this is supposed to be, oh, I get it. This is wrapper. The wrapper is a Cuban seed, Nicaraguan grown, 6-year aged tobacco that has been additionally aged for another 14 months in ex-bourbon barrels. So we're getting the sweetness. I'm presuming the sweetness is coming from the bourbon barrels. I haven't had sniffles all day, and now I do. But actually, that's quite a nice aroma. We're going to cut it and see what happens. Actually, one day we may have a better studio for this, and we have like an overhead cut cam so you can see exactly the cut. But there's the cut. George Shem is with us. What's going on, George? Good evening, all. Love the Perdomo 10th. Oh, awesome. I'm enjoying the Jaime Garcia successor on the balcony. Again, I see. Didn't you have the successor last week, from what I remember? Thankfully, tomorrow is Friday, almost the end of the week. Definitely this sweet character that's coming from that bourbon aged barrel. Now, the other components of this cigar, the binder and the filler, are also 6-year aged Cuban seed tobacco. Although, I wonder how much this term Cuban seed really means much anymore. Like, are they still stealing the seeds from Cuba and bringing them to Nicaragua? Because maybe then, if they're cultivated from plants in Cuba, maybe we could call them, maybe they're still Cuban seed. But, we don't, like in coffee, we have a lot of different varietals of coffee that definitely originated in certain parts of the world. Like, for example, Pacamara. It's a hybrid of Pacas and Maragogipe, which was a coffee that was partially developed by the Pacas family in El Salvador. But if you grow Pacamara somewhere else in the world, you're not saying El Salvador seed because you're just saying Pacamara. Because even though the seed or stock may have originally come from that country, it's no longer from that country. You've been cultivating whatever nation you've been in for the last, however many years. So I wonder, like, as I was reading the descriptions on this, when it say Cuban seed, Nicaraguan, I was like, is this just a way for you guys to like hide whatever variety of tobacco you're using? Like, because Cuban seed, Nicaraguan grown really doesn't tell us much of anything. It really kind of means nothing. Cuban seed. Okay. What seed? How many? Piloto? Whatever, 99 or whatever the other, there's so many varietals. I just don't understand why cigar people are so, they believe in this whole like secrecy thing. Like we have to maintain this secret because as though anyone else can get the exact same tobacco and blend it in the way that you're doing it. Like it's just not, I just don't see that as being possible. I know we've talked about this before. I know I've bitched and moaned about this before, but I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And I don't understand mainly because of the way that we operate in the coffee side of the world. I'll tell you whatever coffee we're using because you can't get the same coffees that I can. And even if you could, you couldn't do what I do. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, here we go. We're lighting it up. I don't know why I hold the trigger on this torch. It doesn't have to. Okay, we got good light. Okay. Nice sweetness on the dry fragrance as well as the cold draw. I gave it a good plus, 8.5. Devin says that the cigar world tends to be extremely hush-hush until recently, even still lots. And I know that, and I don't understand why. Like your Piloto 99, and if you grow Piloto 99 as one of your components, you got to grow it. You're going to grow it if you're controlling the whole process too. Like let's say you get your plot of land somewhere in maybe the Esteli Valley, or maybe you're in Ocotal up in the north or somewhere, and you're growing your coffee. You've got this plot of land for it. It's going to have its own little biome, right? Its own little world, because like in coffee, we find that coffee grow, like there may be this one big farm that's maybe 100 hectares, but not all the coffee grown on these different hectares are the same because of the biome that they're in, where they are in the mountain, how much mineral content is in that soil in that position. What about the flow of the air? What about the sun exposure? These are all things that will impact the coffee. Now, I see that in probably tobacco production, since that is a valley grown production, it's probably more flatland, or the ones I've seen were all flatlands. They're not really in the same way, but you grow your tobacco, you're harvesting at a certain point, you're now hanging it in a barn to dry for however long, you determine that. And then you build them into pilones, right? Into the pilon for fermentation, and you do that for however long, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. And then maybe you want to age it. So you bundle it into 100-pound bales, and then you put it in your warehouse and you age them together. If you're controlling a lot of those factors, even if you're not controlling 100% of the facts, but you're controlling quite a bit, or maybe you're just sourcing the tobacco by the bale, you're still, I don't know. I just don't think that people, I think it's very difficult to recreate that. like let's say with coffee, right? To do quality coffee, source good quality beans, roast them well, do all that, blend it, whatever, make it, serve it, is a difficult process. It can be very simple. It can be very simplified, and you can do it with very little difficulty if that's what you so choose. But if you're not, and you're trying to push it at a high level, and somebody wants to copy you, I mean, yeah, sure, whatever the copy part, but the thing is that if they're trying to do what you're doing, there's no way for them to shortcut the quality. They have to go all the way. And the way that I look at it is that if that, I'm okay with being friends with the people that want to do high quality stuff. Like I want to know them. So I don't know. So starting off really nice. Nice balance of flavor. Not very spicy, not very heavy. Just a good spiciness, like a light spice, not light, but kind of a medium spiciness, right? Like it's not that heavy pounding that you get from Nicaraguans with black pepper and all that. It's got this nice rounded spice, maybe a little bit of baking spices, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves even. Nice draw, good resistance, smoke production is good. It's starting off very nicely. And sometimes it's a little bit surprising because Perdomo is a cigar that over the years, sometimes it's just a very meh cigar, not a very exciting cigar, right? Like there was a time I was smoking a lot of Perdomo Lot 23s. And why? Because it was a decent flavored cigar. Perdomo Lot 23 Maduro Robustos. Well, I smoked a few of those because one of the cigar shop they were hanging out in wanted us to buy cigars. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. It was like $5 or $6 at the time. And you could get a nice smoke out of them. But most of the time I would smoke Perdomos or tried other Perdomos. I didn't really find them to my like. I found them maybe just not appealing. That's just a little bit on the milder side. But we also are friends with the local rep, Will Cookier, who's a great guy. We love the guy, right? He's really a great person to hang out with. I've always known him for a long time. Wonderful musician, jazz saxophone, amazing. And you kind of like, he's so enthusiastic about his brand. He loves being part of Perdomo. He's so all about it. And I've hung out with him in Vegas at the PCA show. But it's always like, but sometimes you just don't really find, you groove with the cigar. You're like, it was like, you feel kind of bad. But one day we were at the PCA, and we were at the RTDA. There still was RTDA in Las Vegas. He gives me a cigar. He's like, this is something that hasn't been released yet. And I got to say, I don't know what it was. He doesn't remember what it was because I asked him about this much later. I was like, do you remember the cigar you gave me? He's like, I don't remember what cigar. But it hadn't been released. I don't know if whatever was going to be released. I thought it was a champagne, but evidently it's not because I've tried champagnes after that. But this cigar was amazing, like delicious, like fantastic cigar. I just have no idea what it was. And I wish I did because I would love to have more. But this, all right, George, I tell you what, man, I am liking this. I am liking this quite a bit. Not too heavy, good spice, good smoke production, good mouthfeel. Not a bad price point, $9.75 in PA. I mean, this is something you could smoke quite regularly, I think, and still be very pleased, very pleased. Like I would definitely say I'm enjoying it. So those of you who know about woodworking may have heard of this thing called the domino. We used it on one of the episodes a few weeks ago. I have been dominoing a lot lately, mainly because like I'm building this cart. Like I mentioned this last week, I'm building a cart. I finally got to the assembly point, and I've been doing a lot of dominoes on it. And why? Not because it needs it. I could certainly screw it together or pocket jig it together or whatever, but I just don't have experience using the domino. So I thought, well, let me do as much dominoing as possible on this so that I get experience. And man, I am mucking it up. Like I am mucking it up hardcore. Like miscalculating the depths, miscalculating the heights. It's just some tear throughs, and it's like sometimes I'm not holding the tool correctly, so it's like coming out the side. It's like, oh my gosh, man. Good thing this is a shop project cart, and it's not really critical. Like if I was doing this on like the stuff I will eventually make, then I'd be very upset. George says it was a Cigar Authority Cigar of the Year in 2020. I mean, I can totally see why this is enjoyable. And it's nice to see that while it was great in 2021, it's performing in 2024 very well. And I can't imagine this is the same production. This is probably continued production of the cigar since it's been over 3 years. So kudos to Perdomo. This is starting off strong. Yeah, so I've been just this domino thing. It's like domino everything. And I wanted to build this cart, but I didn't. If you go and look at plywood today, it is expensive. Like it's like $75 a sheet. You're like, what in the world? I'm not spending that kind of money on this silly cart. So I found this guy that had this cart plan. He just showed a video about it, and he made it with these slope sides out of these sheets of plywood. And I was like, that's really kind of one of the more attractive shop vac carts designs that I've seen. So I'm going to mimic it, but I don't want to spend the money on the plywood. So I got the idea. Why don't I use pallet wood? So I was at the Woodcraft the other day. I asked the owner of Prez. I was like, "Hey man, do you mind if I take some pallets?" He was like, "Yeah man, take as many as you want." I was like, "All right." So I took apart all these pallets. Only just two. I found two that were not pine. They were just some other, maybe poplar. Who knows? I don't know what they make pallets out of other than pine, but they're not pine. And if you ever looked at pallet wood is not very nice. It's all kind of janky. It's all kind of messed up. It's not messed up. It's just not milled as nice as other wood. So you got to like work on it. So I took it apart, and there's still some nails in it. I didn't take all the nails out. I left some of the nails to give it that kind of rustic look. I did cut it down so that there's not going to be a whole like what do you call that, rabies kind of thing. Brian says that Scott wants me to say, don't domino, use dovetails. You know what, man? I can. Oh, speaking of which, I don't know anything about dovetails. Although I was looking at a video today about this fence that I got, the Incra Wonder fence with the LS positioner is what it's called. And evidently there's a way that you can use this fence to make dovetails very precisely. I don't know much about it. I just saw that today. I just saw that last night. I was like, oh, okay, I got to figure that out. One day I'll figure it out. So is it oak? Is that oak? I'll show you. This is one of the planks. This is oak. I mean, the smell that I've been smelling as I've been sawing it does kind of seem like oak. But I don't know. But speaking of oak, I'll show you some of the oak we've been working with. This some of the oak that we were milling today, the last couple of days. It's about 6 feet long or so. And this actually comes right from the area, like right here. This comes from a tree that fell about 3 years ago or so. And my friend Matt, he got when the tree fell in his yard, he had some guy come out with the mill, the saw, the big one, the horizontal one, and he milled it all out into big slabs. So this is after planing. So it's about an inch and 5/8, I think it is. And what I'm planning to do with this is to mount it onto the side rail here, right? Like the side rail down here, mount it on the side and put dovetail tracks in it. So I can use the dovetail rails. And I was thinking like dovetail rails, like maybe two of them, and then, or maybe one, and then dog holes. I don't know yet, but it is kind of thick. So I was thinking maybe I'll take it over to, I was thinking about calling up Josh at the wood side, at the wood place, and asking him if he could put it on his bandsaw and cut it in half. But I don't know yet. Maybe I'll just leave it. I kind of like the meatiness of it, right? It's kind of meaty and big, and hope that doesn't fall. Scott changed his mind and says probably not oak. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know wood enough to know. I mean, I know wood, but not enough to identify it. So I've been making this and doing these dominoes to try to figure out how to not muck it up. And it's, going all right. I found out that there is a way to punch the domino hole through a wood so that you can reveal the face of the domino. Looks all right. Of course, it's at the bottom of something, so I wasn't really intending on that. But, I have been doing very good measurement, though. I've just been kind of like, what is it? Relative dimensioning, relative measuring. Let's hold the piece up to the place. How long? Mark it, cut it, done, easy. I'm not making plans or anything for anyone to use, so don't have to worry about that. Devin says that it's spruce pine. I have no. I mean, spruce pine sounds like a good identifier to me. I haven't really decided to research it. I did see a video online. They were like, you got to be careful with these pallets. Sometimes they spray them with, pesticides or whatever. And I think, oh yeah, that's true. They do that. So. I don't know if these have. But I just got out the reciprocating saw and just went to town on it. I was like, "Rrr." So Perdomo, very nice. I've been talking a little bit, so it feels like the ash fell out. So I wonder if it's gonna go out on me. But so far, not yet. What else been going on? I got Brian was kind enough to drop off a Creality Ender 3 V3 SE 3D printer. So my first order of business was to drive over to the Micro Center to buy some filaments. I got their PLA Plus, and I got it, of course, in lime green. Mm-hmm. So I've been on Thingiverse lately. There's a whole world of like stuff you can make on Thingiverse. And I've just been downloading the files. I've been like finding what looks cool, like, oh, that looks interesting. Let me download that file. Oh, that looks good. Let me download that file. Now I got to figure out actually how to get it from the file into the printer so I can print it all out. And I don't know if it's expensive. Like the filament, I think they sell it by the weight. Like 2 kilos of filament was like maybe $20. I don't think that's terrible. But what do I know? But I only have one color. I only have green. I should probably go back and get some other color. I did have this thing that I got from a guy in the United Kingdom quite a few years ago, since Devin had mentioned the WDT. The WDT, if I'm correct in this, Devin, you tell me if I'm right, because I could be totally wrong on this. But the WDT is this kind of rake that you use to rake your coffee after it's been ground before you make your espresso. And I was curious, and you go online and you get all these companies that are making these WDTs, and they're kind of expensive. They're like maybe $100. I'm like, I'm not spending $100 on this silly device that I'm really never going to use. I just want to get one and to try it to see, so I get a feel for it, and so that I can tell you why I think it's silly, why I'm not going to use it. So I found a guy in the United Kingdom that's making them 3D printed. And so basically it's 3D printed and it comes in a little case, like a little case. I was like, okay, that's a good deal. And I think it was like $35. So really not a bad deal. And so I went to, I got it. But he used this filament to print it. He did his own printing. And I don't know what film, but it looks like it's pearlescent. Like, it's pretty cool. I was like, well, that's a very cool, filament. I need to go find that. Tony's asking, have you bought any Power Lock dogs yet? I have bought no dogs. I just have holes. And I have miter. I have both miter and T-track. However, I did buy the other day my first device like that. So I bought this. This from Incra. This is the company that makes the fence, Incra. Oops. And it goes in the T-track. And it made me realize that, I need to since the T-tracks are inlaid into the middle of the workbench, right? I realized that, how am I going to get this inside the track? Well, now I need to go back and remodify it and cut little holes in it. So I cut these 20 millimeter holes so I could slide this in here. And now I've got a clamp that I can clamp stuff down and be all like a fancy YouTube woodworker kind of guy. So very exciting. I have been using it today to clamp down pieces of wood while I try to make correct dominoes. Not been very good at it. Devin says WDT is the coffee rig. Okay, good. I got that correct. Very good. Tony says smoking the Plasencia Reserva Original Perfecta and a Diet Pepsi. Excellent. I would be I don't know if I'd be surprised or disappointed if you one day were not drinking the Dietary Pepsi. And Devin smoking the Privada Peace cigar from this month's rare box. Oh, that reminds me, with the Privada reminds me of this other cigar that I got that I'm going to use on this show. Rusty was one that was telling me. He was like, hey, man, he was like, we were hanging out at Widmer's. He's like, have you seen the movie My Blue Heaven? And I was like, oh, yeah, dude. Oh, I know that movie very well. And he's like, they have a My Blue Heaven cigar. I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. Let me get that. So I got one. We're going to smoke that. Maybe we'll smoke that next week. One of Steve Martin's greatest movies. Speaking of Steve Martin, did you guys happen to watch the most recent season of Only Murders in the Building? I just finished it the other day. I really enjoyed it. Really liked it. Perhaps not as good as the first season or two, but a solid showing. And I don't know if we talked about this last week, but I watched I finally finished I watched the second season of The Diplomat. Hella good. If you haven't seen The Diplomat, I really recommend it. I think it's a excellent, excellent show. The downside with The Diplomat season 2 is that it's only 6 episodes. So you're like, what the hell is this? What is going on here? Why 6 episodes? Just because you're shooting in the United Kingdom does not mean you should follow BBC standards. 6 episodes. Now, this is America. We have to at least we should be having 23 episode seasons, not this 8 and 10 and 6. Good Lord. So good smoke production, smoking well. Like it's. I feel like it's at a. I feel like it requires a slower pace. Like we're a good half hour into it, and I have not even finished the first third. So I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, that's very nice. That sweetness from the wrapper actually comes through in the smoke. Actually, really, man, I'm very surprised. Like, I think it's very enjoyable. It's very different than other cigars, in that, like, let's say since George is smoking the successor by Jaime Garcia, I think that is the successor. Torpedo is I think, a fantastic cigar. This would be equivalent to that, like as far as my enjoyment of it, but it's just so different. Just a different experience, completely different smoke. Bud said, I just saw a review in Harbor Freight for their dust extractor. You should look into it. Well, I saw that. You must have seen that guy, that like bald-headed dude, 731 Woodworks, which really shows you I've been watching too much YouTube if I can tell you the exact person that's doing it. But yeah, that dust extractor looks very interesting. $300. And you can get it. They have it at our Harbor Freight here in Timonium. I looked it up. They have the card there. $300, and it's a 12-gallon extractor, so it's very sizable. It has variable speed, right? Variable suction speed, as well as you plug your tool into it, and it will turn off and on automatically. I think, and if it says it's true HEPA, so it supposedly will do the 0.3 millimeter filtration. Like if you're thinking about a dust extractor, like I think that could be a very compelling one to buy. Like I have the Festool one, of course, right? You can see the green hose there. I got the really small one. Much more than the Harbor Freight one, but the Hercules one looks. I actually saw that review when it first came out, the day before I was going to buy the Festool one. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should buy that one, because then I could buy other Festool tools sooner instead of waiting. But I was like, I'll get the real one. But I think that Harbor Freight one, is a nice. I think that's a. They actually had a sale like 2 weeks ago, a coupon on their app, 15% off anything in the house. And I was like, whoa, 15% off. I use it to buy these like magnetic hooks because I didn't really need anything there. But I was like, man, maybe I should go buy. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna say we're past our first third. I think flavor has been very good. I'm gonna say 8.75 for that. Body, medium body. Body has been. I'm gonna give it a 9. Like we're past we're moving into the second third. Flavor is still good. Actually, I feel like it's picking up speed. I feel like it's developing even better. Not that it's necessarily changing, but maybe there's a little more of a richness developing in the flavor. Maybe a little bit of chocolatiness is coming out. The only problem I find with YouTube, right, and watching all these woodworking videos, is that YouTube has this tendency to they want to give you this algorithm. They want to use their algorithm to give you more of what you want to see. But I don't only want to see woodwork. I want to see other stuff that I'm interested in. And so you gotta have to be. So sometimes I'd be very careful what I'm watching because it's like suddenly everything else disappears. I'm like, wow, okay, I've seen enough of that. Tony says that the Hercules battery-operated sliding miter saw is supposed to be badass. Super accurate, right? Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I've heard that's very nice. But as I've been building this cart and using this pallet wood, I busted out finally my old Ryobi. I got this Ryobi 10-inch miter saw, just the old school miter. Ryobi has this like kind of yellow lime green color now. This is from the days when Ryobi was still blue, a dark blue. Actually, all my Ryobi tools are from that era. And I don't even know how I got this. I don't remember buying it. I was talking to I thought my brother bought it. And I was like, hey, we were talking over the weekend. He's like, yeah, you're the saw. When did you buy that? I said, I didn't buy that. Did you buy it? He's like, I don't remember buying it. I was like, I don't remember. Anyway, so it's not sliding compound. It's just a miter saw. But the problem is, man, there is dust everywhere. Like it's blowing sawdust everywhere. I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm like totally putting it outside. I'm like, I can't. I need. That's where I think the newer generation of well, at least the Festool stuff, and what I really am liking about it is the dust collection. Like the dust extraction is so much more. Like I've been routing with the old school like skill router, and it's just the dust is everywhere. It's like, oh my God, man, it's terrible. It's terrible. That's the only thing that I think that if other companies would like improve their dust collection, I would be more prone to looking at those because now that we're old, I feel more concerned about that. Like today, while we were doing all that planning, I'm just like, I'm wearing the mask because COVID could be back. Oh, Omniel, what's going on, Omniel, man? How are you? For those of you who just I'm not from Omniel is a buddy of mine from the internet. He's another coffee YouTuber down in Florida, right? And he makes really pleasant videos about coffee and coffee products. If you're interested in coffee, you should go check out his channel. Really, really nice stuff. That's what we're hearing, man. But I mean, like, it's everywhere. Like I'm coated in it. I was like, when I first started using the miter saw the other day, I'm coated in it. I'm like, oh my God, man, you gotta beat it off of me. It's like terrible. Even when you're wearing a mask, like it's just like. So once I finish this cart for the vacuum, my next project is to make an air filter. I'm going to do that Corsi Rosenthal air filter. You know, the air filter uses a 20-inch fan that uses 20-inch air filters. And I finally figured out how I'm going to fly it here because I don't want it. I want it to be flown above head so that it will be better for extraction, for at least clearing the air. Plus, I was thinking the Murph 13, 14 filters not only are good for dust particulates and 0.3 millimeter dust particulates, but supposedly also good for smoke. And I'm thinking, what if we took a charcoal filter? I might have said this last week, but charcoal filter and added that inline downstream. Would that be good? Would that be able to handle the cigar smoke? Now I know I've been a big person I've been a person that's really been mainly about extraction of cigar smoke rather than filtration of cigar smoke. I've always been very much into extraction. I think extraction is the best way to handle the cigar smoke. However, in this space, the only way to extract is to open the garage doors. And that is just like when the winter finally arrives, that is going to be almost intolerable. No matter the fact that I may have this big heater here, you can only sit so close before you ignite your clothes on fire. But I seem to have found a good method here with a fan, blowing the air out the door and having the other door kind of cracked open so it kind of circulates this way, like it goes like this. It works fairly decently. Oh yeah, you know, where we think about all kinds of weird things here. We have spent months discussing the maybe not so fine points of cigar smoke filtration and extraction, arguing about different things. What is the temperature right now? The temperature in here is not terrible. Actually, right now it's not bad at all. It's probably maybe 50 something. It's not terribly cold. It's not as cold as it was early this week. Like early this week it was pretty chilly. Like right now, I'm just wearing this long sleeve Carhartt, this thick Carhartt work shirt, this red head fleece vest, and that's it. And I've got the heater running, but it's like it's just kind of bringing some balance to the force here. But I've really been obsessing about this whole dust extraction thing. So it's like really what I'm concerned about. Because early this summer when I was working on these like cutting boards, I'm standing outside without any mask, without anything, and I could feel it like in the lungs at night. I was like, I'm dying already. O'Neill says it's 75. Oh, that's very nice, man. 75, you could be in your Tommy Bahama, button down with some shorts and some espadrilles, sitting outside, smoking a cigar. That's super nice. I mean, what part of Florida are you? Are you down in the Miami area? And do you smoke cigars? I haven't been to Miami in such a long time. Over 10 years. I think the last time I was there was like 2009. Back when I used to fly American Airlines to Central America, because there was a time when United and the Star Alliance didn't have any way to fly there. I think at Copa, but I wasn't flying Copa, but American was flying there. So I would sometimes hop an American flight down to Central America, and either on the outbound or the return, almost invariably from Baltimore, you'd fly through Miami and there would be an overnight option. So I would usually opt for an overnight option. So fly in maybe mid-afternoon, have an overnight in Miami, fly out the next morning. So I would take advantage and hang out in Miami for a night, go down to the beach. What is it called? Whatever the fancy Art Deco area is, or head over to have Molina's Family Restaurant. Maybe have a cigar with Cuban crafters on Calle Ocho. Oh, yeah, George is jealous. Oh, you don't smoke. Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, George is here, actually. George is here also in Maryland. So, oh, there it is, 47 with me. So it's actually 47 here. George is probably is George is closer to Washington, D.C. than I am. Molina's in Hialeah. Exactly, exactly. I've been there. I like that place. I was going down there one time and I was asked somebody, so where should I go for Cuban food? And they were like, Molina's is very good. And I was like, Molina's? Okay, I will go there. Of course, I've been to La Carreta. Is it La Carreta or La Carretera? One of those two. Nice coffee. I think was it empanadas or something? Yeah, I really did like Molina's. I thought that was really good. We don't really have access, or we I want to say we don't have access. There is supposedly a Cuban restaurant here. I don't know if it's very good or very accurate. I'm taking the band off. I don't know if it's very good or very accurate. But we don't have much of the Caribbean food here in Baltimore, sadly enough. Like I think they might have this in the Cuba, but I know Puerto Rico has this thing called mofongo, and I like mofongo. However, there's no place to get. At least I don't know of any place to get mofongo here. So the only place that I used to get mofongo was at this Puerto Rican restaurant that was in Manila, in the Philippines, close to where I would stay. And so every time I would be there, she closed the restaurant. And there was a woman that was living from Puerto Rico, living in the Philippines, and she opened her own restaurant. And she had the mofongo. Man, if you haven't had, it's mashed plantains with like fried crispy pork belly bits. Oh my God, that is so good. Ah, la carreta. There we go. That's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah. The mashed plantain. Yeah, that's so nice. So nice. I love the plantains. I love that. I like the mofongo. And the other thing I like with plantains is in Colombia, one of my friends who's a coffee producer, whenever we'd stay at the farm, the people that his cook there would make us, what's it called? You take the plantains, the green ones, you cut them into blocks like this, then you deep fry them. Then you take them out of the fryer and then you put them in a tortilla press and you mash them. And then you deep fry them again until they're crisp. Serve with a little bit of salt and whatever the salsa equivalent they have there in Colombia, in Armenia. Oh my gosh, man, I love that. Oh, tortones. Mm, that sounds great. So, Emil, how is the coffee scene down there in Miami? Is it good? I mean, it's been a long time. It's been over 10 years, so I don't know what the coffee scene is like. When I went there, well, the last time I was there, Joel had just opened, what's the name of that place that he opened? He opened like basically the first specialty coffee place. Joel Pollock. He owned the place, still owns it, and I don't remember the name. It escapes me. But I imagine that things have changed and the scene has improved. It's like Paris. Paris. I haven't been to Paris in a while, over 10 years as well. I went there like for a few years. I was going there like every year, but then I had been there in such a long time. But the last time I was there, the only specialty coffee place was a place called Le Cafiote, which was owned by this woman who used to be the ambassador to France from Guatemala. And she had a really nice shop right along in the Marais, right along the Seine. And so we would go there for coffee. But now I hear that, man, there's so many more coffee shops have opened. And so it's the scene there is so different. Ah, Panther, that's it. Exactly, Panther. Yeah, Panther. Yeah, Joel. I know Joel when he was working for Dwayne at Stumptown many years ago. Before he moved, I think he moved to open Panther in what 2008, 2007, 2008, something like that. So doing well. We're still in the middle of the second third. Nice. I feel though that while I said the beginning of the second third was starting to build up, I kind of feel like we had a build up, but it's also now at a point where maybe my palate is getting more used to the experience, so it's a little bit plateauing. Not that it's declining or getting worse. It's just we've reached a good point, and it's just kind of because it's starting to become consistent. Oh, Pamela, I said, how did the paintball go? The paintball went very well. We took my nephew last weekend to go play, my brother and I, and there's a place here in a place called Taneytown, Maryland. They have a place to play, and so they put these special games on, and these games are what we call stock class, and stock class are these, you know, inline feed, horizontal feed, single shot, 12-gram CO2. So an old school way of playing, a little bit more challenging in some respects, but we had a great time, really great time. A lot of good people that go to these games to relive our glory days. The last time I went and we were playing on this field, and I'm on the right side of the field, just holding because the left is collapsing. The left side was collapsing, right? And so as the left is collapsing, I see them advancing on the left, and I'm like, oh man, I do not want to get flanked. So I I get up and I hustle my butt across the field, charging at the guy, shooting, charging, shooting. The guy shooting, turns around, shoots at me, right? And I realize that I'm going too fast. My torso is ahead of my legs. And I wipe out with incredible, scenery, just slam down. So this time, similar things happening. I don't think the side wasn't collapsing, but I'm like going at this guy, right? I'm going at him, charging, firing. I got him. But I reach a point. This time I'm a lot more like that. Last time went at it with reckless abandon. This time, not reckless abandon. So I'm going at it. I'm going as fast as I can, right? Which is probably not very fast, but fast enough for me. So I go there and I reach a point where I'm like, okay, I have reached maximum velocity. And that's when I pulled back. I was like, I do not want, if I continue to push, I will exceed, my velocity will exceed my legs' ability to keep me upright. So I was like, okay, let's slow down now. So no spectacular wipeouts this time around. So good. It was a good time. Yeah, it was good. Good. So tomorrow on the live stream, we're doing a drink called the Einspanner. And the Einspanner is this thing that one of the guys, I think Peter, one of the guys that watches the show regularly, mentioned, or somebody mentioned him. And so it was evidently from Vienna, Austria. So I was like, I have no idea what this Einspanner is. So I messaged a friend of mine, Reinhardt, who's from He's from, you guys have seen, I think you've seen Reinhardt because he's been on the show, I think. He's the guy that that runs distribution for Mirfill cigars. And I got a message him and said, "Hey man, what is this Einspanner?" So he sent me a message today. He laid it all out. I was like, "Oh, Einspanner." So basically, Einspanner is a double shot espresso with a heavy amount of cream, and some people add a little bit of like chocolate powder to the top. So we're going to do that tomorrow. I've been thinking about it. I was like, "So what do you eat with these? It's good to have a sucker." And I was like, "Oh, a sucker tort. Okay, maybe I'll get that." But I don't have a sucker tort. I have the next best thing. I have chocolate cake. So the Einspanner, right? But sucker tort is, of course, very traditional Viennese chocolate cake. But I thought maybe I can go to Lidl and buy the sucker tort frozen. They sell those there. But I thought, you know what? This is America. Who makes a really great American-style chocolate cake? Wegmans. So I got some chocolate cake from Wegmans. I'm gonna have that. Should be quite nice. George says, so Pickett's charge of the Pickett's charge. That turned out to be the Alamo for me last time. But this time, I emerged victorious. There's one of the variations we'll play is something called capture the flag, right? Capture the flag. So there's a flag, and you have to capture it. And then you have to take it to the opposing team's base, and then you win. Some people like to charge at the outset of the game because the flag's in the middle, right? You charge, and grab the flag, and you get it, and you go. I'm not going to tell you that I'm one of those people. You will not see me charging at the beginning of the game to the center of the field trying to capture the flag. Somebody else will do that. So the opposing team got the flag. Well, this guy, he has the flag. He made the mistake of coming into my field of fire. Which meant that he met his demise. I picked up the flag and I carried it to their base. Victorious, like the glory days once again. It's like my own personal siege of Berlin. I guess I don't know if that's really happened, but sounds like a good idea. So very nice, man. This is good chocolate notes right now. I said a moment ago that it was kind of plateauing. It's evolved. There's evolution happening. It's still very interesting, and I'm really surprised. So one of the things I've been thinking about lately is this whole with these projects, right? Oh, here we go. Amnio says, "What happens if you get shot? You sit out the rest of the game." So in this particular variation of the game, once you get shot, you're out. There are variations of the game where you can respawn. So you can be shot, you're out, you go to a particular position or station or your own home base, and then you can respawn and come back in the game. But that all depends on the parameters that you're playing. So that can happen. In a lot of styles, that doesn't necessarily happen. George says, as I prepare for the interaction with my middle school students during Spirit Week, I'm preparing myself with a Neanderthal. Excellent choice. Excellent. Although I have to be careful with the Neanderthal. The Neanderthal is very heavy, very heavy. If I smoke that, I might not be able to continue. And I certainly smoked the Neanderthal, and I cannot smoke something else after that is not a Neanderthal because it's just so heavy. So I'll smoke my delicate cigars before the Neanderthal because otherwise you've just kind of wasted your money. So like Halo, exactly. Actually, one of the games that I sat out of, my nephew was totally really into it because my nephew's a big gamer. He loves the game. He loves gaming, right? So they had this game where they had this portable tower that has a light on top of it and a screen. And the idea, and he totally knew what it was. I have no idea what this was, but basically, the idea is that your team, and this is one of the ones where you respawn. You will go and you will go to if you can capture this beacon and hold the beacon. You have to hold. You press on the iPad something that begins a timer for your team. There's two sides. Your team must hold that for 4 minutes, and then the game's over. You win. But it's a cumulative 4 minutes. So if you're out there and you're holding it for a minute and a half, and then you fall, the other team takes possession. They hit the button, and then their timer begins, and then you take it over and you do another, 2.5 minutes. You've got your 4 minutes, and then you win. It was like total something, and I don't remember the name, but it seemed really interesting. And I was thinking after they told me about it, after I sat out that game and they told me how it played, I was like, oh, I wish I kind of had played that. Would have been kind of fun. But one of the more fun games that we had was one of the guys there, like it's kind of funny because he collects all these old paintball guns. And there's this one particular paintball gun that is like from the late 80s. It's called the Splatmaster. It's all plastic. Like I've never used one. Like I've seen them, and especially when it's basically like you're using a La Marzocco. You're using the highest level of coffee equipment. Like when in paintball, we had the highest level of stuff. Like we had the most custom hot rodded guns you could buy at the time. So I never used these, but he was like, hey, they were like, we're going to do a game. Everybody use the same gun, this Splatmaster, this like old, antiquated, plastic hunk of junk kind of gun. Man, it was the most fun I've had probably ever, because it was like everyone's really even. And like, even though these guns that we're using are what they call stock guns, or like old school like style, they're all hot rodded. So they're like, you can just get a good rate of fire. This one, you can't. You've got to like push it in, you got to lock the breech, drop the ball in, and then you shoot. But it had great range and it had surprisingly good accuracy. I was like, whoa, but you didn't have a rate of fire, right? It was like the guy would shoot at me and I could charge on him. It was so good. It was such a good time, man. Oh, Steve's been here ever since the beginning. Like he was like here right at the outset. I actually think he came on before you. Kind of like the oddball now. Yeah. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. But like I was saying, so I've been working on these. I made this bench, right? But the color of the bench. Uh-oh. The color of the bench, this color, right? This is actually paint. This is a blue-black paint that I have. But one of the problems with the blue-black paint is that it's paint. So it's just this film that's on top of the wood. And so I'm expecting that, and I can see some blemishes in the paint now that I've been using it for the last day. It's not impregnated into it, right? So it'll like wear through. So I've been thinking about this new cart. I'm thinking I want to impregnate the color into the wood, so that, not that this cart's going to get any kind of real abuse, so it's not going to change. But I was thinking I need to use stain. And one of the nice things about doing these, like I told you, I'm doing this domino thing, right? There's lots of dominoes because I want to play around with them, perhaps. But I also figured that, as I'm building these smaller projects, I'll use different products so that I can experience the product. So one of my friends is really like, a number of people I know, they're really into this thing called General Finishes, which is this company. This is their dye stain. And I was like, oh, let me play around with this and see how this works. So since I want to have this blue-black, so I got the blue, and now I have the ebony. So I'm going to have to mix the colors to create the blend that I want. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys have used this before, but supposedly these are really good. Right? Really good. That's kind of what I've been thinking about. And also, like I said, I'm using this domino, and I'm not really good at this, so it looks like, if you look closely, it's all kind of messed up, right? So I've been thinking, so if I left it in the natural wood state, it would be kind of heavy. Like here, I'll show you. Like, let's go over here. Here's the card. This is actually the card. This is the frame. So instead of using plywood, I use the wood to make a frame. And I figured, the vac will sit in here, the dust collector will sit up here, but you can see, like, here, the domino, I totally mucked this one up, right? Like, I totally wasn't aligning it correctly, so it shot out the bottom here. I didn't do, what else did I, like here, this thing here, I didn't do the depth correctly, so when I assembled it and put the clamps on it, it split the wood, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, mucked up things about this if you look closely. And the wood, of course, is not very nice. I mean, it's not very nice. Although this surface is a lot better than it was, right? This is, of course, this is all pallet wood. And my friend has the Rotex, which is just like hardcore sander. And so he was like, dude, yeah. So I brought this panel to his house yesterday, and I was like, let me try that out. And it actually works fairly nicely. It's a very super aggressive type of sander. But yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Like, but I figured that, here, since if I was using it just by itself, meaning like a natural wood, and I put like I don't know, some kind of coating on it. Let's say I use like water locks or something, and you could see the grain of the wood. You would see you'd see these blemishes, like these like totally messed up like techniques very clearly. But I figured with a dark color, that will kind of hide it. So it'll kind of blend in. So you won't really notice how messed up it really is. Devin says, if a brand has been alive since the 1800s, it's got to, oh, yes, since the general. Yeah, they're supposed to be. I don't know anything about them. Like, I don't really have very much experience. I have mostly experience with something called the water locks. And that's what I built the last bar top at the roastery with, or coated with it. And I thought that was really amazing. Like that coating on that bar seemed impervious. Like I could leave water on it. I could pour hot water on it, put hot cups on it. No blemishes, no discoloration, no fogging. So that's what I'm using on the bar top for the new shop. Which is proving to be infinitely difficult. I was finally got in touch with the county today, and they were like, we need to have drawings and designed by written, produced by an architect and stamped by an architect with this reports from an architect. I'm like, really? Yeah, because you're changing occupancy, but we're not doing any alterations. There's nothing changing about the physical structure of the building. Oh, it's already a commercial space. It's just unnecessary expense. Sometimes I wonder if we just open illegally and just like roll with it. So, still smoking well. Tony says, I don't think you mix the colors based on video. I saw you layer it so you get the color you want, a blue. Oh, okay. I'll try that. I mean, I've got some scraps to play around with, and the guys at the Woodcraft said you could mix, but we'll find out. We'll find out. I'm open to anything. Feels like we're going out of fire now. Definitely feels the flavor has changed a little bit. That kind of struggling flavor, the struggling fire flavor. So we're gonna going to give it a little more flame, a little more heat. A little bit of an assist here. Neil says that permits is what I work. Oh, so do you work for the city? Is that what you do? Issuing permits? Yeah, so it's for change of occupancy. And the guy was telling me that you're going from mercantile to business. And I was like, and I'm trying, when he told me this morning, I was super irritated at the moment. And I was like, I'm trying very, very hard to be very, very, very calm and very, very friendly. But I'm just like, I was like, I don't really understand. Could you explain what that means, mercantile to business? And he's like, yeah, because it was a retail shop, and now you want to make it into a coffee shop. And I was like, isn't that the same? I don't know. Every jurisdiction is different. That's what I've learned over the years. I learned. And what I've also learned is that you just kind of be the idiot and go along and just try to make it as smooth and as easy as possible. I figured it doesn't do you any good to have them get to know you as someone that is difficult to deal with. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, I need to have drawings that are, there's drawings, they require drawings for the space, for the building, along, I'm trying to remember what everything was they sent me a whole form that has everything listed with a schedule of stuff for it that has to be all signed and certified by an architect. So that's what I need. I did drawings myself, and there was a time when I first started in the business, 20 years ago. Drawings that you brought in for a space that's pre-existing was very acceptable. Now it's so different. Now it's so much more regulation. Over the years, regulation has gotten more intense, and it used to all be manual. You go in, you submit your paperwork. Now it's all online, so it's all electronic. It's I think it's harder to push things through. I like the old days when you used to go in and meet them in person. And then they could take pity on you and help you with things. I do. I have a drawing I made, and I did it just in kind of an illustrator, just kind of showing the layout and all to the correct dimensions, all to the correct scale. But they want certified architectural drawings. I'm like, "Ugh, there's just money wasted down the toilet coming." There was a moment that I was thinking, I'm just going to abandon this. I forget it. But then I needed to that's part of the reason I needed to. I was glad we were doing the planing today, because I needed some time to be away and not brooding on this thing. So it's changed a little bit. It's gotten a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, less chocolate now, a little more bitterness, a little more complexity. So I think we can go to say we can do our second third. I'm going to say second third flavor 875. And I think our body is still right at 9. I think we're still at the same point. I'm giving it the same score as the first third. However, I think qualitatively it's the same. very good plus, but it's just different. It's just different. It's a very different experience now. I may be able to help. I just don't know if my team can take care of it for something out of state. Oh, I appreciate that. If you can, let me know. I'd be very appreciative. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've had to do drawings. I had to do drawings for our Hamden shop, which we opened in 2010. I did not have to do drawings for the roastery when we opened that, or at least I didn't have to do this level of drawings, like to the point of having an architect stamp and sign it. Which is why I was a little bit more frustrated today, because the jurisdiction where I had to have stamp plans in 2010 was Baltimore City. In 2017, 2018, when we opened the roastery, that was in Baltimore County. This new shop is in Baltimore County as well. So I'm like, I thought it'd be easier. The drawing was actually created in a program called Affinity Designer. Affinity Designer, which is basically the Affinity version of Adobe Illustrator. So it can be converted to PDF. It's very simple. It's very simple. I mean, the drawing is very simple. I'm not a complex drawer. Oh, okay. Yeah, I will definitely take you up on that. See if we can make something happen. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But we should talk about this. This coffee, the Matagalpa community coffee, actually really nice. Really nice. Very complimentary to the cigar tonight. A good amount of sweetness, good body, a little bit of chocolatey tones that goes well with the cigar. Actually, it's a very nice pairing. It's a very nice pairing today. And even though it's French press, it's not too heavy. So, Omniel, I'm curious to know, do you do live streams on your channel? And if not, have you thought about it? I have found that we started doing pretty much daily live streams about over a year ago, last summer, at the end of last summer. And I got the idea from Hoon. And Hoon, and when I first met Hoon, his channel was at about 150,000 subscribers. He's over, 265 now? And he always did live streams. Like that's how I always knew about him, because he would do those like 15-minute live streams like 2 times a day. I was like, wow, this guy is like live streaming like a mad dog. But what I think that's really nice about the live streams, right, is that it helps to build community on the channel. So I think that, it's something I might consider. Like, and like who does it like 2 times a day? I do once a day. I don't think you have to go to that extreme. I just do it because I enjoy it, right? But a lot of the other YouTubers that I follow that are not in coffee, like for example, I follow a guy named Tom in the YouTube camera tech sphere is a guy named Tom Buck. And I really like Tom's channel. Tom and Curtis Judd, he does sound reviews. They do like weekly live streams. Aaron Parecki does a weekly live stream. The C47 Gem, he does a weekly live stream. And it's a good way to build community and connection with people. So it might be something to consider. Even just once a week, like with the, oh, you just uploaded the review. Excellent, excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I mentioned to you on the messaging. So the idea behind this is, so those of you who've been watching, so Omniel, like I said, has his own channel. And there's another guy on YouTube in the woodworking sphere. I can't remember the guy's channel. I just found him the other day. And he has a new, he's a really good YouTuber. Really interesting, really insightful about woodworking. But he started this series of videos where he has his viewers shoot videos of their workshops. It's like a workshop tour. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll do that in the coffee sphere. So I've asked some people, Omniel's one of them, where could you do a video where you show us your setup? I think people will be very interested to see other people's setups and the different issues that they approach, or the different issues that they face in their setups, and what they've done to approach those and to solve or work around. Oh, that video. Oh, okay. No, don't worry. I'm not going to tell you. That's actually for something else. The coffee one is for a completely different thing. I want you to see my guest. Okay, no problem. No problem. That video, or that coffee, is actually intended for a video that I haven't shot yet. I'm planning on shooting that one soon, but I wanted to get other people's feedback on that particular coffee. But like I said, the one with I've asked some other people, asked Aniel as well as a couple other people so far, to do videos about their setups at home or wherever they have their coffee sets, because I think it'd be interesting to see what other people are doing, how other people are doing it. And I'm trying to see, like, can we get people from not just the home ranks, the home enthusiasts, but also maybe even professionals to see how everybody kind of approaches their coffee situation at home. And I don't think there's anything like, I don't think it has to be, oh, that one you haven't recorded yet. Okay, gotcha. No worries. That one is not, and it's all one of those things where it's not like everybody has to have the most high-end, high-tech kind of stuff. Just whatever people have, I think will be interesting to see, because not everyone's going to have the same approach to coffee. It's like what I see in the woodworking videos, right? A lot of guys with the domino, right? You watch these woodworking YouTubers, and they bring the domino in. They're always like, I know everyone's going to hate on me for this, and it's like, yeah, I get it. People hate on, but and they're always like, well, we can show you other ways of doing it. And it's like it's just one tool. It's no big deal. By the way, how will I send you such? I haven't really thought about that yet. I had one of the guys. I don't know if you know, but one of the guys that's one of our regulars on the live stream, Keone he lives in Thailand. We're trying to figure that out right now. He sent me his video, and I was like, He sent it to me on Instagram, and I was like, it's only at 480. We need to have it. Let's find a way we can bring it in at 1080. It might end up being something where what I might end up doing is that, because I'm not really technically savvy on how people transfer big files. So I was thinking maybe we might do is have you upload it to your channel as a video, as an unlisted video, and then I can use certain tools. There's a website called yt5.com that will download YouTube videos straight off the YouTube, and it can I've seen it come across at 1080. So, and that's actually the website that I use when I'm pulling video from YouTube to include in the videos that I'm shooting or I'm releasing. So I'll pull snippets from those, and that's how I get them. So that may be the most expeditious and least resistive way to do it. Yeah, that coffee is really nice. Like, I'm really liking that now. But yeah, consider maybe that live streaming thing. Like, if even just once a week. The difficult part is that, and this is actually, it was like this yesterday. You kind of, when you start off with live streaming, you don't really have an audience there that's ready for you. So you just kind of have to do it as though that people are watching. You kind of have to pretend, and it's like it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Like yesterday was like that, because yesterday, some days we have like 10, 15 people that are watching live, but yesterday only like maybe 2 or 3 or 5. So sometimes the chat is really good and like it really flows. Yesterday wasn't like that, so it's kind of quiet. So you really have to like cover and talk almost nonstop. But it's a, and like one of my friends, she's been trying to start her YouTube, and she was asking me about that, and I was like, you just kind of do it, right? Because you just have to realize that at first nobody watches, but eventually people do, and then you just find your way. This is what I've heard from everybody that I know that in YouTube that talks about it. Not sure if I'm good at acting. It's one of those things where like it comes over time. Like, it's perfectly natural to start off and be like, well, hey, how you doing? I'm doing this. But what I try to do is I try to have a topic to discuss, so I can just discuss it as though somebody was there, as though somebody cared. Maybe nobody cares. Probably nobody does. But, I figured, well, whatever. Somebody might watch it at some point. Plus, you also find the videos may not get a lot of play initially, but they can get play later. Like, I have this other channel, right, called Onotech. That it's a channel where I've been doing, anytime that I would have this itch to do a tech video about some technology, like maybe the Mac Mini M2, which has no real place on the main channel, this channel, oh no, the main channel. But I feel like I just feel like this itch, like I want to do it. Like, I've done ones about like boom microphones. Like, what am I doing a video about? Who's watching a coffee guy make videos about a boom microphone? But I was like, so I started this other channel just for that, just to scratch my itch. But since I've been doing this woodworking thing, I started doing this series there called Festool Fest. That's just all about Festool. Basically, it's just me talking about whatever Festool thing that I find interesting, or maybe this, like this. Let's say this sustainer box, right? I bought this sustainer box. This is the box, and this is the episode right here. So this is the box. It has a lid. There's 187 millimeters of depth, and blah 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 blah. You can just kind of talk. Maybe it's only 3 minutes. Maybe it's 5. And who knows if anyone's watching? But you know what? Surprisingly, like, that channel has been dead. The Onotech channel has been dead, just dead, because I haven't posted anything for a long time. But now that I started, like, I'm seeing, like, I was looking at the report today, and I was like, oh, 5 subscribers. Oh, that's kind of funny. And then there's the Spro channel. So when I started doing YouTube, it was mainly the Ono Coffee channel, and then there was a channel I had for the shop called the Spro channel. Basically, it's Spro Coffee. And released a bunch of videos there and did it fairly regularly until about a year ago. And I haven't released a video on that channel in like a year now. And the year prior to that last release was very sporadic. And every time I log into that channel and look at the stats, I'm always surprised that the subscriber count grows. It's not growing by any substantive measure. But like, there's like, what, 5, 15 subscribers? How is this channel that has no videos being made on it being released on it, it's still going because people are still watching the content that's on there and they like it. So I'm not making any money at it. It's just kind of funny to see that happening. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, you mentioned, oh, nice. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, the one channel is definitely a lot to do. And that's one thing I've run into recently, this last month or two, with the main channel is that I have been very unmotivated to edit. Like I have not been like I released a video last week that we shot like the week before, the one about the Aiden brewer. And that was a fairly easy one to do because it was really just kind of like we shot it linearly and then I just kind of edited it linearly. So I didn't really make it very, and then I did on that one, I edited that last Thursday night or last Friday. I edited that Friday night for Saturday's release. And if you look at it technically and you compare it to the other main releases on the channel, the Saturday releases, it's very like rudimentary. Like it has like I put the channel logo in the corner, but I put nothing else. Like there's no usually there's captions and subtitles and other elements. There's none of those. I just kind of let it. I just really did it really down and dirty, just kind of to see if how it would do, but also because I was like, we need to have a release. But I've been really like not in the groove for editing because the true main releases that are like the travel videos, like they take a lot of they do take a lot of effort, a lot of editing time. But one channel is hard. But sometimes I just have the other ones because, like I said, it's about an itch. And the other one, the tech channel is interesting. The Festool Fest one series is interesting because a few weeks ago, we were in Pennsylvania for the this Festool event, and I met the rep for Pennsylvania, and then I saw him the next week at this other woodworking expo. It was kind of funny because he was like, "Hey, man, I saw your video." And I was like, "Oh no, like God, that's embarrassing." So yeah, I don't know. Oh, the one with the roaster. Ah, yes. No, the one with the one with the roaster. That was a while back. This last week's one was about the Aiden brewer, which actually is really a nice brewer. I'm really surprised by it. I guess I'm not that surprised, but I mean, it's like fellow does make nice quality products. I want, like I said in the on the live stream, I kind of want to hate on fellow, but I really can't. I mean, their products have been all very nice. I was listening to this video while we were preparing to start this live stream, one of the woodworking videos, and this guy was comparing routers, the DeWalt to this brand called Triton. And Triton's this. I'm not too familiar with it. It's supposed to be a nice quality router, but he's like listening to it, and he gets this router, and he finds out that the base plate of the router is warped. It's not perfect. It's not flat. So he bought it from Amazon or something. It's like, or he bought it from a place. Calls him up, says, "Hey, there's a problem." All right, send it back. Then he goes to Woodcraft, and he's like, he orders the same one from Woodcraft. They send it to him. Still a problem. Sends that back. Orders another one from Rockler, another woodworking company. Same model, same make. Third time, and I'm like, this guy is like, he's giving this company every chance he possibly can. I'm like, huh, I like that. I like that. I like that he's good. And then he gets a third one, and the third one's still kind of messed up. He's like, I can't recommend this. And I was like, well, okay, well, you gave them the fair shake. Oh, and that one. That's because that's that short, right? Is that one? That one? Matt released a short that because I got this thing called the Top Rock. This is the Festool Top Rock. It's basically Festool's Bluetooth speaker, right? And it's fairly nice. But you use Bluetooth to connect to your phone. And the interesting thing about these is that if you have two of them, like this is stereo, right? But if you have two, one becomes the left, the other one becomes the right. So you have true stereo. And so there's this one video that Matt released on his Instagram. We connected both at the roastery, and I was doing a dance to it. Silliness. Yeah, that's at Matt's house. I have one that I shot a video that I think we're roasting in it, and but I'm planning on doing this on the main channel because it's kind of tied in because we're all coffee people, but coffee people slaughtering chickens, how to slaughter a chicken, and then how to gut and defeather the chicken, how to dress a chicken. I think that could be a fun one. And since we're all coffee people and there's coffee stuff happening around it, I think that could pass as a main channel video. But yeah, I need to get back in the saddle with the editing. I'm starting to feel like I can do it again. So I think I think a lot of YouTubers will, from what I've heard from people that I know on YouTube, I think a lot of people fall through that every once in a while, where they just have a hard time feeling the groove. But I don't really feel that. So this is where the live streams have kind of helped in that respect. Like being with this kind of rut of editing, if it had just been edited videos, then the channel might not have had any releases for the last month and a half or 2 months. But since we do daily live streams, the channel gets a good 20 videos a month at the minimum. So there's still a lot of content being generated, or there's content being generated. So it somewhat alleviates the pressure to like release. And that's one thing a lot of YouTubers talk about is the pressure to release weekly. But also some of those guys that really feel that pressure are the ones that really depend on their channel for their livelihood. I'm presuming that you're in a similar situation where I am, is that we don't really have to, and even Hoon is like this, I think, too, where we don't really have to rely upon the channel to provide a means of living. So it's a little bit of a different situation. Like Hoon has his own computer repair company. Yes, I'm going to try to repair that. So those of you who might be wondering, so I recently, in September, I bought this Fellow Ode grinder. It's a coffee grinder. Really nice. Again, it's one of those things where I kind of want to hate on Fellow. I don't want to like them, but every time I use their product, I'm kind of enjoying it. So this grinder really quite nice. Well, it gave up the ghost last week in the middle of the live stream. Like it just died. And they're sending me a new one, which and they were like, we'll send you a new one and you just keep the old one. Dispose of it as you want. I was like, well, okay. You don't want it back? And so, yes, the plan is to tear that one apart, see what's inside, see if maybe we can fix it. And then who knows what happens after that. But I'm not going to do that until the new one arrives. And they finally sent me a tracking number for the new grinder yesterday or the day before, something like that. So it has not arrived yet. Which I was a little bit surprised with because last week when I talked to them, the guy Kyle was like, "We're going to expedite this." I was like, "Okay, cool. That's cool." Which I thought meant that it was going to be there by Friday or maybe by over the weekend or maybe by Monday. But when Monday came and I was like, "There's still no, I wonder." And then I looked up the email they sent me and they sent me the notice that they were going to ship it, the invoice, but no tracking number. And then the tracking number only came like yesterday. And so well, it took a little bit long. It's like, I was like, you know, if you told me a week, I'd be fine too. Yeah, I think that'll be a fun one. I think that'll be fun. Fun to see what happens. I'll probably do it here in this same spot on the new bench because I've got all the tools here. So instead of doing it in the main one, the downside about doing it here is that you have the phone. So the phone is a little bit more rudimentary, right? You have to do all that. But it seems more conducive to do a teardown here than to move everything. The other location at the bar, of course, has all the cameras and the switchers, so that makes it a little bit more dynamic in that respect. But I think here would be better. I think. All right, so how's our cigar? Man, this cigar, it's now 10 o'clock, just past 10. I thought we would be done way a long time ago, but we still have this much left. But I think for the sake of time, I think we can finally do our full grading. I think performance-wise, I think it's been very similar. So 8.75 for the flavor and 9 for the body. So very static, very consistent. And burn and draw. Burn, I think, has been very good. Draw has been great. I think I'm going to say 9 for that. Consistency, I'll give that a 9 as well. Now, overall score. Overall score, I'm going to say 8.75. Wow. Wow. That's really, really surprising. So overall score, 88.5. That's definitely one of the highest rated cigars for 2024. I don't know exactly where it fits in the ranking. There is a link, I think, in the description that would take you to the rankings. But very strong performance, very surprising. George Shem, you're totally right. This is a great cigar. I can totally see why you like this. 9.75 that I bought in Pennsylvania. I think very well priced, especially for the performance and the flavor and the consistent dynamism of the cigar. I mean, really, really great. Like, it's not too hot. It's good smoked, great flavor. I mean, wow. I am very, very surprised. All right, well, I know it's past our time, so that's it. 88.5, Perdomo 10th anniversary, Maduro Epicure. I don't know what size this is, but very enjoyable. I have to say that I'm really pleasantly surprised. Easily one of the best Perdomos I've ever had. Who knows? Maybe this or whatever variation this was prior to this release. Perhaps this predecessor to this was the cigar that Walt gave to me back many years ago that I really liked. Because this I really like the Lot 23 Maduro Robusta that I would smoke a lot before. That's good. $6, solid cigar, enjoyable enough. This is really, really good. So give it a try if you haven't tried it yet. I'd be happy to have more. All right, so that's it for this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with me on the Thursday Night Hang. Always good to see all of you. Tony, Omniel, George, Craig, if you ever came back to join us, Stephen, Brian, Bryant, good to see all of you guys. Rusty, Bud, Scott, and the crew, good to see you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful night out there and rest of the week. Back again next week. Maybe next week we're not gonna do the 20th. Maybe next week we'll do the My Blue Heaven from the LGA guys. All right, so that's it for this week. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful week out there. Back in next Thursday, 8 p.m. So see you then.